So this is going to be a rather informal video. I just wanted to kind of make this more of a rant, ramble about why the Wheel of Time means so much to me and why it's something I've connected with so much, not only as a content creator, but as a person. I mean, it's huge to me. I'm not like bringing it up in everyday conversation all the time with people. It's not the kind of person I am. But the Wheel of Time for me has just always been a series of books to retreat to. And I think to explain that further, I need to kind of go over how I first found it. I think I was around like 11 or 12 when I was walking around a bookstore with my mom, and I saw a book with some people on horses in the cover and it had a lot of blue. And I really liked blue. So I picked up The Eye of the World. I wish it was some deeper, more complex story where it was like meant to be. But I really liked blue when I was younger, and this one had a lot of blue. And I think the name Eye of the World struck me. I think that also kind of struck me. So I picked it up, and I burned through it. And as a dyslexic kid, that was really one of the first times I wanted to read on my own, where I wanted to burn through a book and just voraciously got through it and was demanding to pick up another one. And I also got the audiobooks. I remember I had a copy of the Eye of the World audiobook and a physical copy of the actual book before I got a physical copy of The Great Hunt. I don't know why I did that, but I started listening to the Eye of the World right after I got the paperback and finished it. And I re-fell in love with the series with Michael Kramer and Kate Redding's narration. They are, I don't care what anyone else says or what evidence is put against it, they are the best narrators in the game. I love those two. They are so good together. Their chemistry, they capture the world in similar ways. They seem to, even though they don't pronounce everything the same, they seem to both just really get the fantasy genre and how to portray the characters and everything with it. And so I love the audiobooks even more. I think I wouldn't be as big a fan if Michael Kramer and Kate Redding hadn't kind of brought the world to life like almost no other narrator out there can for me. And as a dyslexic kid, it did help me to redigest the first book that way. And then I picked up The Great Hunt. I believe this was around, I want to say like 2005 or 6-ish. I'm not sure. I think it was up to Knife of Dreams was out. And I burned through all the books as fast as possible. I remember getting in an argument with my mom because I really wanted the audiobook for Winter's Heart, but it was only available on Amazon for like a stupid amount of money, like way more money than it should have been. I don't know why it was priced so high, and I think it was only available used. But she ended up just buying me only the paperback, and I was like, fine, that's cool, whatever, I'll read it, and I read it. But I was really paralleling the physical books and the audio books throughout my whole first read through. And then I didn't know until I got to the last book that was published that the series wasn't finished. And I picked up, I think it was Knife of Dreams at the time, finished it, and was like, oh, where's the next? And then I saw that it was planned to be released, but was not released yet. Obviously, after that, I just kind of started rereads. I started going back through the series, just picking it up whenever I really felt like it. And every time, especially when I was depressed as a kid, a teenager going into high school, I would pick up The Wheel of Time and just start burning through it. And when I learned that Robert Jordan had died, I just, like many other fans, assumed the series would never be finished, and I was completely devastated. I was so sad that I had to go back to my coping mechanism and start rereading The Wheel of Time. It really is amazing how a book series has become this like escapist place for me, and it's just because I'm so comfortable in it, I guess. But like when I had a friend die in high school, I picked up The Wheel of Time and just kind of used that as a way to not think about what was happening. When I had a dog die, again, I picked up The Wheel of Time again. When some family troubles started going down, Wheel of Time was what I went into. And all the way up until rather recently in college, when I had pretty much my best friend pass, I immediately dove right back in. I knew it was where to go. It's this place of comfort, and I've lived a life where I haven't had a ton of stability. I've moved a lot, as many of you were well aware. I think it's resulted in me liking moving in a weird, twisted way, and so I kind of just ended up falling back to this series, this place of relaxation and comfort. And the wheel keeps spinning for me. I know no matter what's going on in the world, I will be able to go back to it. If the apocalypse ever happens and we're all going, to live on our own, Mad Max style, I'll have a copy of the series. It's just so I can have some stability. But yeah, I learned Robert Jordan passed. I was completely devastated. I thought the series that had been so amazing to me and helping me get through life would never be finished. And I thought a lot of weird things to try and get over it. A lot of people, I'm sure, are aware of the sadness you feel when a series you love will not ever be finished. It's something that a lot of fantasy fans and book lovers have to deal with. And I eventually just kind of coped with it by saying, it's a good metaphor for life. That your life, you never really know how your life's going to end. So I guess I should never really know how the Wheel of Time will end, and that's a little nicer. But it was the age of the internet was fully upon us, and I think pretty much right away, as soon as Brandon Sanderson was announced as the author to finish it, I said, screw that, I gotta know how it ends. I gotta get back into this. So as soon as it was announced Brandon Sanderson was going to finish the Wheel of Time, I picked it up again and started burning my way through it because I had to be ready for the final book, because at that time we all thought it would be just one more. And then as the release date got closer, we learned that it would be 3 more. And I don't remember this super clearly because it was a rather hazy time in life, but I ended up, I think, just going back and rereading my favorite parts as I got ready. And then The Gathering Storm was released. And it really didn't, I kept thinking this whole time, who's this Brandon guy? Who is he to finish this? I didn't really pick up many of his books. I was just whatever, we'll see what he's going to be doing. And I heard that Robert Jordan's notes were incredibly extensive. So my really only hope was that his notes were so thorough that the books pretty much could write themselves. And while that might have been nearly a quarter true, but as all of us fans know, Brandon Sanderson is a genius writer, and he brought the Wheel of Time to a conclusion that was probably the closest thing we can get to Robert Jordan's conclusion without him here on Earth. And he did a spectacular job. The next 2 books after The Gathering Storm were released, and I devoured them. And ever since then, I was a little afraid that after the series was over, I had my catharsis, it was done, I would lose that place of comfort. It wouldn't have any more mystery to me, and I would know how the wheel ends, or the Wheel of Time ends, so I wouldn't be really driven to go forward again, to go back in. Fortunately, that's entirely not true, because the ending was handled so well. I think it only drives people to a reread more determinedly. You want the answers that are there. We are sprinkled breadcrumbs throughout this series when we're not spoon-fed answers, even though Robert Jordan will tell you a lot about his world. There's still a lot of mystery in those pages. We are not given all of the answers in a straightforward way. So I think that is largely the reason why the Wheel of Time is the greatest fantasy series when it comes to rereadability of all time, pretty much undisputedly. Everyone I know who has finished it will agree with that, despite it being 14 books, because the way it is written almost seems to be purposefully built for rereads, which is really interesting. But that's kind of where I decided that I will build a whole YouTube channel, which roots were around the Wheel of Time, because I saw how lacking online Wheel of Time content was. And I wasn't much of a writer. I wasn't much, says the guy writing a book. I hope I've changed that. I wasn't much of a music person. I couldn't make songs for it, but I was super into rhetoric and online media. So I decided, hey, I'll be the YouTube Wheel of Time guy. And for probably a solid year, that was really the focus of my channel in a lot of ways. I mean, the Let's Summarize the Wheel of Time series were responsible for my first self-made boost on YouTube. Before that, I'd only ever gotten a boost from other creators shouting me out, including Kitty G. Thank you, Kitty G. And so now I'm sitting here about a year into having a channel, approaching a few thousand subs, and I decide, let's branch out. Let's do more fantasy stuff. I had read lots of fantasy at this point, as you guys are aware, but I hadn't really dove headfirst into the genre, and that's where I come to thanking you guys for encouraging me to pick up so many more legendary stories, whether it's Lightbringer, whether it's Mistborn, Stormlight Archive, Gentlemen Bastards, Stephen King, going back through his Dark Materials stuff, the Powder Mage trilogy, which I've just gotten through, even picking up things like Terry Goodkind, I don't regret, because it's educated me on a genre that I'm starting to study almost like a science, and have been for a while now when it comes to its history and evolution, because I find it to be immensely fascinating. I wish a lot of this story, or me spewing thoughts at the camera, could be a lot more like it was meant to be, but that's not really the case. I picked up the first book because it was blue and the name sounded good, and I think my mom was rushing me to get to the checkout. And 10 some odd years later, I now am approaching 40,000 subscribers and am involved in a community for talking about, discussing, and dissecting the fantasy genre that I really don't think I would trade places with anyone, because I love it so much. It's just become such a huge part of my life. It's evolved from something I was originally kind of ashamed of to something I am just immensely proud of, and I just am so happy. It's the first time I can say that in a long time in my life, that I'm proud of something and it's causing me a continual source of joy. So to each and every one of you who have hit like and subscribe and all those things over the years, thank you so much. I know it's a little too late, but I would love to say thank you to Robert Jordan for giving me such an amazing start to an incredible journey. Thank you to Harriet and Brandon for being what you are for the Wheel of Time community, real heroes. And thank you to every fantasy author out there who has put the time, energy, and effort into crafting one of these stories that does change people's lives as they go through them, whether it's used as a therapy device, as I oddly did for years, or it's just allowing some people to escape for a few hours. You're doing some incredible work. So on behalf of the community, back to you, thank you. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. I had a rough day today at work, so I just wanted to go ahead and do a word vomit video. So that's what I'm going to say this one is. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And have a good one, y'all. Live stream this weekend to celebrate 40,000 subs. Peace.